Good morning all of you. I am Tanushri from Civil Engineering branch and today I am going to teach you your Theory 1 paper which name is Structural Mechanics. So you know that in the last class we just finished our chapter 2 and after that we will start your next chapter which is chapter 5 which is most important for your subject or for your semester purpose. So the chapter 5 topic is shear force and bending moment. So first of all you need to know what do we mean by shear force and what is bending moment. Okay. So in this chapter you will learn about a lots of loading condition which will act on the beam section, and after that the functions of the beam you can know as two types. First one is shear force and second one is in the sense of bending moment. Okay. So in this chapter so many derivations are there by which you know the functions of beam under various kinds of loading system. So first one is you have to know what do you mean by shear force. So your shear force is nothing but it is the algebraic sum of the vertical forces acting to the left or right of a cut section along the span of the beam. That means whenever a beam subjected to a loading system, then according to your choice, according to your suitability, you have to draw a cross section or a cut section like XX cut section, and then you have to decide the force along the beam in which side. We have to consider the force along the beam either in left side and right side, and after that the sum of the all vertical forces which will act on the beam is known as your shear force. So the shear force are having two signs, which is positive sign and second one is negative sign. So let's come for the sign convention for shear force. So first we will discuss positive sign. So how you can determine a shear force is positive. So first of all you can see this is a figure and this is a beam section. Okay. So while you can see this is a beam section and at the middle of the beam a section is provided which is XX cut section. Okay. So now the force along the right side, the nature of the force is downward in direction. Okay. And if we consider the left side of the section, here you can see on the beam the nature of the force is upward direction. So while this kind of force will act on a beam, that means at the right side of the section if the force is downward direction, or at the left side of the section if the force is upward in direction, then the sign convention of the shear force is positive in nature. So here it is written as that when the vertical force upward in direction and is towards the left hand side of the XX section is positive. That means this portion. Then second one is your when the vertical force downward in direction and is towards the RHS, that means right hand side of the XX section, is positive. That means this part. So while your forces acting on a beam is look like this kind of structure or this kind of position, then you can take the shear force as positive sign. Then let's come to the negative sign convention of the shear force. So you can see here is the diagram. It is similar to the positive sign of the shear force, but the nature of the force is different. So here you can see it is the XX cut section, and at the right side of the beam, the nature of the force is upward in direction. Okay, but in case of positive sign, the right side section, the force will be in downward direction. So now, if we consider the left side of the section, then the nature of the force is downward in direction. Okay, so it is totally opposite of the positive sign convention of the shear force. So you have to remember that in case of beam, while we provide a cut section, considering the right side of the section, if the force is in upward direction or if the force is downward direction at the left side of the section, then we consider the shear force as negative sign. So here it is written as that when the vertical force upward in direction and is towards the right hand side of the XX section is negative, and second bit is when the vertical force downward in direction and is towards the left hand side of the XX section is negative. Okay, so this is all about your shear force and sign convention of the shear force. So now comes to the bending moment. So what do you mean by bending moment? You know that normal moment is equal to force into distance. We already studied this thing in the chapter 1. So now come to the bending moment. It is look like similar with the moment. So bending moment is the algebraic sum of the moments of the forces to the left or to the right of the section taken about the section. That means if we consider this is a beam section, okay, and at the both side, that means at the right side of the section and left side of the section, if we consider the moments and sum it, then in total whatever may be the value of moment we find out, that value is known as your bending moment. Okay, so now comes to the sign convention of the bending moment. So it is also two types. One is positive sign, another is negative sign. So for the positive sign, the moment direction is look like this. Okay, whenever a body or a structure subjected to this kind of moment, then the beam is deviated and deformed like this, and this bending is known as sagging bending. And for the sagging bending, the reason of the moment is known as sagging moment or sag moment, we can say. So while this kind of moment is provided, then the upper part of the beam is subjected to compression part and lower part of the beam subjected to tension part. Okay, so you can see it is a curve like section. while it is deviated. So that this kind of moment we take in as positive sign. Okay, so today this much. We will continue this chapter in the next class also. Thank you so much.